Welcome to Lakewood, open for business. You know, last year Lakewood celebrated its 40th birthday, and this year Earth Day will celebrate its 40th anniversary. We'll visit 2 earth-friendly Lakewood businesses this month. Simply Efficient, Lakewood's one-stop alternative energy source, and Weston Solutions, an international company that deals with environmental restoration and property redevelopment. So sit back and relax. Lakewood Open for Business is about to begin.
We're just finishing up the electrical and the ground mount system here at this house. In fact, we're just about ready to move up to the house now. We're going to install the solar modules up on the garage.
Hey Damon, how's it going?
Good, how are you doing?
Good. Man, this is some installation you got going here.
Thanks.
Is this typical of what you guys do?
Yeah, for residential, this is good size. This one's a little more complex because it's broken up between the garage over there and the barn over here. This ground mount is a little more complex. Digging everything up, putting in the posts, getting it all going together takes a little more than it does on most houses. But this is pretty straightforward. We use the same panels, the same rails, just the structure underneath it's a little different and we have to do a little more engineering.
Now those solar panels that you've got there don't look like the solar panels I remember from the 80s. These look a lot thinner.
Well, these are the solar electric. Those panels you're talking about are solar hot water.
Oh, okay.
We do those as well, and we service those old systems as well, and we do new systems for the solar hot water. But the solar electric is an entirely different technology that came out of NASA.
When was Simply Efficient formed?
Simply Efficient was formed about 4 years ago. I was brought in as president 3 years ago. Most companies out there, they sell one technology, like solar electric is a lot of companies, and they just focus on that. It's kind of the hammer and nail, whereas, you know, if all you've got is a hammer, everything's a nail. We look at all the different technologies for people, and we match what their best situation is for each technology. Because some people, solar thermal is their best, some people wind is best, ground source heat pumps, some solar electric. A lot of solar electric is best for most people because of some of the rebates out there right now. The solar electric is definitely a new technology. The way it works and the way it transfers and is able to make electricity just from sunlight. This type of a panel has been out for 15, 20 years. So it's tried and true, and it's going to last. The typical warranties on panels are like 25-year warranties. But you don't find in electronics, try finding a 25-year warranty on just about anything.
So Damon, how exactly do these panels work?
Well, they take the sunlight. The sunlight excites the electrons within the materials in here. And so that makes them jump out of the material, and then that starts the electricity moving through the panel and through your house to power up your house. The sunnier days, it'll work higher, and when you're not using as much power, your grid just still makes up for whatever you need. You really kind of balance it out almost like an account over the whole year. So like if, depending on where you are, like up here in the mountains, people usually use more power in the winter than they do in the summer, but down on the plains, they use more power in the summer than they do in the winter. So certain times of the year, you'll be banking energy, and that energy just kind of, it goes into your account and it totals up, and then throughout the year, if you're with Excel Energy, it'll just balance out at the end of the year, where they'll either cut you a check if there's any balance left over, or it just there's nothing to roll over throughout the year.
Damon, I keep hearing terms thrown around such as PV. Is that a different type of system than what you guys are normally installing, or?
Photovoltaic, it has to do with the photons. So that's light, and the voltaic is electricity. So it's actually the word photovoltaic is the same thing as solar electricity.
When you look at the solar industry as a whole, it's a pretty young industry compared to some other industries out there, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely a young industry. We're still out there on the edge. The technologies like these, they have been proven, but as far as getting some widespread implementation, it's happening right now. So we're still kind of working into that in a lot of ways. The solar electric industry is kind of a good example, because if you look at some of the mounting, and hardware. It's specifically built for solar electric, whereas the solar industry, they're still working that out. The solar thermal industry, it's working its way into it. Everybody's coming along leaps and bounds. I've seen new products, most of them good, not all good, but there's a lot of people out there working to implement this and make it as plug and play as possible.
It seems like with most technology, over time, the price drops. Do you think we'll see that with solar?
Oh, we've seen it hugely, especially on the solar electric side. The drops have been at least 25 to 40%.
Do you think this is a good industry for young people to be looking toward, and what opportunities would be available to them?
It's definitely a good opportunity for young people. The initial career, what it would look like for a lot of people is getting out there and just doing it, getting involved. If they wanted to get a job in it, what I always recommend is get involved with COSIA, the Colorado Solar Energy Industries Association, volunteer for them, and get to know people, and go to whatever workshops or meetings they have. And then there's also the Colorado Renewable Energy Society. They're also another good group to get involved with people, volunteer, go meet people. You'll actually meet industry people at these places, and then go get a job doing it. There's a lot of training right now out there. I don't see the training as being the end-all, be-all. I think you really got to get out there and do it. You're on roofs, you're in crawl spaces, you're digging trenches. It's tough labor, but for people who really love the industry, they stick around.
What incentives have you seen from the city that have been helpful, and what would you like to see more of?
I'd like to see more of the low-interest loans, and that makes it easier for people to slide in and do it. That way, it's not necessarily a rebate or a handout from the government, but it just eases the payment. And especially with technology like this that does pay for itself, because there aren't many technologies or things you can buy out there that do pay for themselves.